All right. Can everybody hear me now? I think everybody should be able to hear me. Okay. So today we're talking about gains.finance, and we are really excited about this because they have changed up their entire ecosystem to an open interest V10. This is their 10th version, updating their system, and it really benefits the traders as well as the people who bring liquidity for tremendous arbitrage opportunities, including I have a lot of people that I'm working with right now that are actually interested in arbitraging, which is going to bring better liquidity to the whole ecosystem. And in fact, I'm meeting with some people tomorrow who are really interested in these arbitrage opportunities. You may also be interested in this, and I'm going to be sharing this with you here over the next few minutes. So before we get started, sorry for the technical difficulties. We got Sherry Cox, we got Jay Collins. What's going on? Of course, we have the Crypto Gardener, Buyers Promenade LLC. I love it. Peace and blessings to you as well. Awesome. All right, let's see what we got going on here. What is Gains all about these days? Because I am very, very pumped on the entire ecosystem getting this facelift. So we're just gonna go through a quick little review as to like some of the main things that have occurred, as well as some of like the benefits that Gains has against some of these, really larger decentralized exchanges that are for futures, or AKA leverage trading. Okay, and how they're like really moving up here in the charts. So some of the things that they have is this new strategy, this new funding strategy that they've gone to, which is called open interest. All right, open interest. And now what's happening is the funding is now driven by open interest skews. So traders pay traders. And I'm going to explain this here in a few seconds. So this market-based model lowers carry costs and naturally balances longs versus shorts. And this is the way that it really should be. So let's take, for instance, I have a screenshot up here, and you can see that in this scenario, there's a skew of 50-50. It's probably just a little bit off because this ratio right here isn't exactly 50-50. But you can see that in this trade for Bitcoin, Bitcoin holders that are going long are actually paying a 10.761% per year for the funding cost. Now, this has reduced the funding costs in Gains like exponentially, almost like 10x in some trading pairs that I've seen. But how do they make money? How do the people who are putting up liquidity make money? Well, you have people on the opposite side of the trade. So people that are like, you know what? I'm betting that Bitcoin's actually going to go short. All right. And so right now, there are more people that are betting that Bitcoin is going to be long as opposed to short. And because of that, the people who are shorting Bitcoin are making an interest rate of 4.338%. So for shorting Bitcoin, they're actually getting paid. All right. And now that could be like vice versa. Let's say there's a whole bunch of people shorting Bitcoin. Well, at the end of the day, the long holders are going to now be getting paid for taking Bitcoin long. Now, the way that perpetual futures exchanges have worked before, and the way that it worked before in the past, is that there was a vault that served as the counterparty trader. And I'll show it here in a little bit, okay? But this new model basically allows us to trade truly peer-to-peer, all right? And whatever conviction, direction, short or long, that you think you're going, it will be reflected here in who's getting paid and who's paying the other person, which is really, really cool. So this is, some of the features, market-driven rates now. So it's supply and demand, baby. I love that. Lower carry costs, which is great for longer-term traders. And there's just a natural balance that incentivizes counter positioning to maintain the market equilibrium. Okay. Now, some of the things that have been going on and the benefits of trading with gains is, it's got a total open interest of $1.5 billion. All right. The funding rates are obviously, the new ones are now live. They've got a daily volume of about $500 million. $500 million. That's tremendous. So if you do the math, that's about $15 billion a month in trading volume. That's pretty big. The other thing that we're going to talk about is they've got 290 plus trading pairs, and we're going to go through that in their platform, which includes things that you cannot find on Hyperliquid, Binance, Bybit, BitGet. None of those places you cannot find these types of exotic pairs. And again, we'll cover this here in a little bit. Now, the other thing that is really cool, and this has been since last year, but I want to make sure that everybody does know this. On the larger pairs, especially Bitcoin, Solana, and Ethereum, there is a price impact of 0%. And I'm going to show you how you can tell that there is the price impact. So essentially what a price impact is, for those of you who don't know, let's say, for instance, Bitcoin is trading or Bitcoin starts to heat up, right? And a lot of traders start piling in. Well, sometimes we have these things called slippage, where the price, you may pay an extra premium on Bitcoin or on, Ethereum or on Solana, because there's so much volume, so many people buying, that it's putting on a premium, because the amount of buyers is like way outweighing the amount of sellers. And it can go vice versa, right? It can go to the downside. Well, what ends up happening is you don't get the truest price to Bitcoin or to Ethereum. And I'm going to show you how they actually keep that to the truest price, to where when you go in, you get that price exactly where you want it to be at. All right. But you can see here for gTrade, it's 0%. Synthetics or Quenta is 0.05%. Average GMX, it goes up. And we use GMX on some of our things, but we're going to be going to gTrade here in the next couple of months for our managed vaults. But it's at 0.06%. And then we got Hyperliquid at 0.08% and Vertex at 0.010, which Vertex is just absolute highest. And while you may not think that these percentages really matter, they compound, especially when you're using leverage. All right. So this is definitely a big deal. Now let's talk a little bit about the execution. So even with the decentralized exchanges, which their claim to fame is, we've got all of our stuff on the back end. You don't hold custody of your crypto, where in Gains you do. And, they say that even they have really good stuff, but take a look. BitGet, which is the best one here. All right. Price impact between 0.004 and 0.001. Binance, which is the largest centralized exchange in the world, 0.004. OKX 0.016 to 0.014. And then we go into GMX. Bybit is 0.020. And then for some reason, guys, I apologize, I couldn't figure out how to get KuCoin, but it's higher. All right, it's higher. So again, we've got zero slippage, tighter spreads, fair price impact. And this all adds up when you are actually trading. Trust me, trust a trader who trades millions of dollars a month using leverage. All right, millions of dollars a month using leverage. I can tell you without a fact that these things add up. Okay, they add up really big. Now, in my opinion, we've got Gains really crushing the competition with one area in particular, and that's RWAs and indices and very, very exotic pairs. All right, and we're going to go through some of those exotic pairs here in a little bit on Gains, but you can see right here, Circle, GME, Google, Tesla. You can trade QQQ, which, we've actually got scripts for those. We have strategies for those. But there's all sorts of things that you can trade using leverage that you cannot do. You absolutely cannot do unless you're on Gains. Now, there is a competition coming up where a trading competition where you can win up to $200,000. And they haven't told us what the dates are for that just quite yet, but it will be kicking off this month. So do me a favor, head over to my Instagram if you haven't already done that. And I'm going to be launching a story. Hopefully it'll be sometime this week where I'm going to be telling you when they're launching this. So if you're really good at trading, or if you even just want to trade using Gains, you want to learn, I have like a full breakdown of how to use it in our like reoccurring episodes. I forget what they're called in YouTube, but you can learn how to use it. And if you're already using it, if you're entered into this competition, which you might as well, it doesn't cost you anything. You could win your share of $200,000, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to bring a lot of attention to Gains, and especially with this new funding model. And guys, gals, I know that I kind of like covered this really quickly, but this took them quite some time to go to this funding model task. I know because I was behind the scenes with them, talking with them, collaborating with them just for our group, going like, hey, when is this new funding model coming? Like we want lower fees. Always we want lower fees. And they were constantly giving us updates, and they rigorously tested it. So they've done a heck of a job getting us to that point. Now I want to bring us to this dune here, because there is a bit of a breakout happening in terms of daily trading volume. Okay, and you can see right here that we kind of like bottomed out back here in late May / early April. And we have been on an upward trajectory ever since. All right. And especially right here, which is around the time that V10 did launch. All right. It has been out for a little bit, and people just started piling in. And I suspect that they're just getting better rates than, at Hyperliquid or at GMX or, some of these other perpetual futures exchanges. And not just that, but let me tell you this. Gains is the OG. Before there was Hyperliquid, before there was GMX, before there was JLP, before there was any of these, there was Gains. And these guys were really the pioneers in doing this. And so, we had like an all-time high here in total volume back in March of 2024. And now we're just seeing this start to take off again. And, these things don't move up in a straight line. We may have a little retracement and then boom, I think once we have the $200,000, the competition going on, that we're going to be crushing. Now, why does this matter? Okay. Why does this matter that we're headed up and that we're getting way more trading volume? Well, for me personally, because I actually hold Gains, okay, for me, we've got something called a buy, back, and burn. And, I've been monitoring this since early this year, because this is when I first presented on it, okay, because I didn't understand what they were doing. I actually I started using Gains because I actually liked it. And I saw that they just had so many different pairs that a lot of these different perpetual futures exchanges didn't have, which is really cool. They had more. I'm not much of a meme coin trader, but AI coins, which I was, getting heavily into earlier this year, not like putting my whole portfolio in. It was just a little bit. But here's what happened. All right. They've been burning since last year. All right. In November of 2024. And what they do is they take a big portion of their fees that they earn and they buy back gains and they throw it into the fire. And what does that do? It lowers the supply. So this is how much that's been burnt. All right. We're talking about 5.7 million gains that has been burnt. We started with 33,600. 33 million. And we have burnt in less than a year more than 10% of the entire supply. More than 10% of the entire supply. And I'm going to show you what's going on this chart. That's really interesting right now. It's really interesting. I'm not going to lie. All right. But look at this. We've gone down from here all the way down to right here, which is $28 million. $28 million that the supply has shrunk to. And I've personally noticed it because I actually have a lot of gains. I'm yield farming some of it. I'm doing other things. I'm staking some of it. And I'm putting it to work. But all in all, I'm doing really, really well. And I think that this is a token to be really eyeing. Now, why do I think we should be eyeing this? Take a look at this. All right, take a look at this. So we've got from here. So this token started back here in May of 2023, right? So we've got from here, which is February of 2024, which is when its high was, all right, all the way down to here, where we did not really break any sort of momentum to the upside. But finally, if you take this line and you drag it across the tops of all of these, even these little peaks here, we have broken resistance. And this is really exciting. All right, this is really exciting. And this has me even more excited. Before I was selling a little bit of my gains, all right, I would make a little bit of money and then I'd sell. Right now, it's the last coin that I'm actually selling. Because of these buyback and burns, I actually think I can make a very, very fast return. And it's starting to show. I mean, look, this has been since June 18th that this whole thing has just started to turn around. And we've been like in a range, kind of chopping sideways for a little bit. But I actually think, and especially with the market pumping, more people are going to be leverage trading. More people are going to be going to gains because they have better fees now. And trust me, these whale traders, they want to go where the best, cheapest fees are because that's more money in their pocket, right? I actually think there's going to be even more volume and we're going to start seeing like a lot of burnt fees. And you can see here, just in the last 30 days, all right, in the last 30 days, we've burnt 420,000. And I've seen this higher. Like when we get into like full degen mode, oh my gosh, guys, gals, like imagine when we cut like a third of the supply out, people are going to freak out for this coin. All right. People are going to freak out for this coin. So this is GNS, Sherry. This is GNS. All right. So, anyways, that's that. Now let's go to the Gains website here because I want to show you guys like just how this works and what's really going on behind the scenes because they've just done so many cool things, in my opinion, in the last few months that I think everybody here needs to know. And this is kind of like what my strategy is when it comes to trading like stocks, because I have some really cool stock strategies that I've been talking about. I think I talked about them last week or the week before, or maybe both. But also we've got some great crypto strategies. Okay. So like right now, look, you can see, let's just put this into perspective. So some arbitragers actually have some opportunities to come here and make 33% just by shorting Bitcoin. Just by shorting Bitcoin. All right. If you just short Bitcoin, you're actually making and holding it, you're actually making 33% per year. And who's paying this? This is 23% is being paid. But the reason you're getting 33% is because there are less shorters than holders. So there's more money going into their pocket, and the APY, the annual percentage yield, is actually higher. All right, it's higher. Now this will start to balance out, and you can see this skew right here. This skew shows that there's 66% holding long, 34% holding short. All right. So this is a tremendous, and again, I'm not, like I said, I'm actually meeting up with some whales that they're big arbitragers, and they're seeing this and they're going like, holy crap, we can make a lot of money off of this. So I'm meeting with them tomorrow because they're very interested in participating in gains and these arbitrage opportunities. But this is a real peer-to-peer strategy, which is awesome. All right. And you know, the way that it used to work, all right, the way that it used to work is the counterparty trader were these like vaults, right? And they had a lot of TVL, a lot more than they have right now. But you know, like this GUSD, and they still are using this for some of the other pairs because they haven't upgraded every single pair to this strategy. They need volume. So they have kept this like USDC and this gains, like you can use gains as collateral to trade against as well. Like I've put some money into this vault. It's not earning that much, but hey, it's better than zero. All right, it's better than zero. So anyways, this is something like right now, you know, you could put your USDC in here and you could be making 8.87%. To be quite honest with you, I've shown, especially like with my students over the last few weeks, way better stable coin returns. This doesn't get me up in the morning, but what does get me up is the arbitrage opportunity. This definitely does. And I'm actually really curious about how we might be able to take advantage of this. I want to understand it a little bit more, but this could be a tremendous opportunity for people that are looking for, you know, some really, really quick gains that are like more reliable. So anyways, now some of the other cool things that Gains also has that Hyperliquid does not have, GMX does not have, man, Quenta certainly doesn't have it. All right, is access to different types of strategies, all right, that are TradFi strategies. So right here, you can see you can trade Forex, and you actually have a lot of leverage that you can use. You can use up to 100x leverage on these. It's not as good as like the crypto leverage that you can get on these, but still 100x leverage is a lot of leverage, guys and gals. Personally, even 10x is a lot of leverage for me. All right. They have access to stocks. Look at this. NVIDIA, Apple, Amazon, Circle, GME, Google, LMT. I don't even know what that is. MCD, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, PayPal, Riot, Snap, Tesla. And, you know, we've actually have strategies for NVIDIA, and we have strategies for Tesla, and they're doing very well. They're doing very, very well. Now, you also have access to indices. So if you want to trade on leverage, you know, the SPY, S&P 500, I think that is. BVIV, I don't know what that is. Or QQQ. We actually have a script for QQQ that does really well. You have access to short and long it all right here, all on the blockchain. You don't need to have it in a brokerage. You don't need to do any of that stuff. You have it all right here. Now, you also have commodities. So you can leverage trade gold, oil, and silver, which is really cool. And then you've got like, you know, a ton of meme coins, the ones that you want to be trading right here. You got 46. There's more meme coins than I'd like to swallow there. And then you've got 22 AI coins, which, you know, AI coins, in my opinion, could do really, really well. In fact, in one of our managed vaults, we just upped our Tau holdings over the last few days, and it was a good move because look, we're up 5.28%. I think we're up like 10% since we got in. So that's been helping us grow on our stuff. So this is really for me, like Gains really has their stuff together. And if you actually take a look at let's see if market cap of will allow us to if we were to take a look at market cap of, and let's say Gains just goes, let's see if we can even pull it up here. Oh, here, yeah, cool. Gains goes to like Hyperliquid, and let's even say like, we'll just say like 50% of Hyperliquid, right? Hyperliquid, because Hyperliquid is doing some amazing things right now. Even if we go to half of what Hyperliquid is, which is not unheard of, with cheap fees like this, with access to like all the different cryptos, with their track record of never being exploited, never having issues with their stuff, you're looking at like 120x. 120x. All right. If they can get up, which personally, I think, you know, let's see, like what would 120x be? Just to dream. If a young man can dream like me, let's say you were to invest like $2,500 into Gains, and you were to do 120 times 120, that's $300,000. $300,000. That's massive. You know, and I have mine like working in a liquidity pool because I actually like Gains. It's conservative because I want to hold more Gains and I don't want to get like impermanent lost out. But boy, I mean, this one, guys, gals, I'm telling you, it does have the propensity to go up, and they're just doing a lot of things to get their word out, to do a lot of marketing, a lot of grassroots marketing, but they also have just such a killer product. Now, the coolest thing about Gains as well, here's the most awesome part, all right? Back in, I think it was like July, they had an issue when they upgraded to V10. It was like for a day. All right. It was for a day. I was trying to trade something, and I ended up doing like a double trading because it wasn't showing up on my trades. And what ended up happening was, since I did a double trade, it was like way too much leverage for me. Like it jacked up the leverage like double, and it was way too much leverage. And I'm glad that I got out. I made a little bit of money on it, but I'm glad that I got out because it could have turned against me, and I think I would have gotten liquidated because of the amount of leverage that I was using. And so I ended up going and talking or to their what's it called? To their Discord, and opened up a support ticket. I ended up losing about $400. Within a few days, they refunded me my $400. And I heard that they also did that for a whole bunch of other people. So these guys, like, they're not ruthless. They're not like out to screw people. They're really the good guys, in my opinion. They really understand this technology. They're the oldest perpetual futures exchange out there, and they're doing really, really good. They're doing really, really good. So, in my opinion, this is a really good strategy of potentially buying Gains. I'm not telling you what to buy, but I'm just saying I'm buying it. And check them out. Like it has been going up since I bought it tremendously, and I think it still has a ton of room. And you can see, you know, like from its bottom, like right about here. Let's see how much has it gone up. You know, and coincidentally, this is where I was getting like a lot of gains.
You're still showing up market cap of.
Okay, so right here, you can see here. So up 121% in just a matter of, 4 or 5 months. Not bad. Don't put all your money into it, all right? But if you put, 1% of your portfolio, nobody's going to be pissed at you. All right, 1% of your portfolio. That I have maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe like 1 or 2% of my portfolio is in there. All right, the rest is in like managed vaults and, you know, BTC, ETH. But yeah, that's where the majority of my portfolio is. But this is, you know, it's making a really good run for it. And again, we broke this resistance line here. I mean, this is killer. I am like super pumped. When I drew this line today, I was like, whoa, you know, and it's not like it came back down or it's testing it or wobbling. It clearly broke out from this trend. So, you know, I'm watching out. And imagine if we have like whatever, let's say over the next like few months, we tick it up because we actually start going into a raging bull market and they're burning like 2 million GNS, which they've had that level of volume before in the past. And we get like 4 million less GNS. That would have taken 8 months, 8 months. All right. What do you think that's going to do to this buy pressure? What do you think that's going to do to this price? I don't know. You tell me. You tell me what you think it'll do. But I think it's going to make a really, really big move to the upside. So let's see here. Just one shot. Hey, Swami, I'm curious. Even if I'm just starting off and don't know anything about this, do I still have time to putting my money to work? I mean, yeah, like, you know, you could, like, what I would do, all right, just one shot. I would, if you want to do leverage trading, I would just use very light leverage, and you don't have a lot of time. Like, let's say, for instance, you want to leverage trade Bitcoin. And by the way, I've used this before. I've used this strategy before. In fact, I made a lot of money from 2023 to 2024 with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Probably close to $50,000 or $60,000. It wasn't on gains because I wasn't trading on their platform, but it was on Quenta. And I just did a simple 2-3x max. Like, if you really know what you're doing. And what you got to do, though, is you have to watch that liquidation threshold. So let me give you an example here. Let me share this screen here, because this is something that if you want to just like more be on like a set it and forget it strategy. So let's say, for instance, let's go here to Bitcoin. All right, so let's go here to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, I personally think that Bitcoin is going to be going up very soon. In fact, it may even have started just a couple days ago. Those are just my thoughts. But let me see. Why is it? Oh, that's why. So so let's say, for instance, you want to leverage trade Bitcoin. It's definitely a riskier trade than my 2023 and 2024 because, you know, Bitcoin was down at like whatever. Man, I think I was buying it at like 20-some thousand, $28,000. Okay. $30,000 is when I started to leverage trade it. But if you want to leverage trade Bitcoin or Ethereum, I think Ethereum might be your better bet. So what I would do is I would set it up to where let's use ETH, because I think ETH has a lot more upside right now. Okay, so we've got ETH, and let's say, for instance, you want to do like 2x leverage, right? And you want to put in like 2,500, or even, you know, like I was doing, I don't know, like 10,000 each or 20,000 each. I can't remember how much it was, but no, it was like 10,000. It was like 10,000 each. Okay, so I came in, and you can see here. Let's zoom in a little bit. All right, we want to make sure. Man, what's going on? Come on, move over. We want to make sure. Why? Sorry, guys. Hold on. So 10,000. Okay, so that's going to afford you a position. Let's do 2x of 4.34 ETH. Now, if you come down here, it's going to show your liquidation price. All right, your liquidation price is right here. All right, this is your liquidation price. Man, I don't know why it doesn't. There we go. There we go. I just needed to move it over. All right. So your liquidation price is 2,500. So that's like basically a 50% downturn that you would have to go through in order to make that, in order to hit that liquidation price. And by the way, just one shot, liquidation means you lose all of your money. So if you put in $10,000, you would lose all 10,000. That's what happens when you use leverage, right? It's a risky game. That's why you have to be very, very careful. Now, you can even do, if you want, you can do 3 times leverage. All right, which is what I was doing. I was doing 2 and 3 times leverage. All right, 2 and 3 times leverage. But look at what it does to your liquidation price. Your liquidation price turns into $3,200. So if the price of Ethereum hits $3,200, you're about to get liquidated. All right, you're going to get liquidated, and all your money's going to go bye-bye. Now, what I was doing, because I had conviction in the market going up, we still hadn't hit like a full stride. What I was doing was I was getting in, and if the market started to take a downturn, and I remember I was on literally a remote island in the middle of nowhere doing a mastermind group. It was so cool. We were like on this white sand beach, like in Panama. But for some reason we had like this much internet, and I saw the market started to turn down really fast. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hope it doesn't go down any further. Otherwise, I'm going to get liquidated. And what I ended up doing, I did what's called adding a bullet. So I added about 50% of the original collateral. So I added like $5,000 in that collateral, more or less. I don't know if it was like, I think it was like 5,000 for ETH. It was like 10,000 for Bitcoin, but it's like 5,000 for ETH. So I put 2,500 into it. And essentially that was a way for me to dollar cost average in. But I really didn't do anything except for like monitor it once per day to make sure I wasn't getting close to it. But when I got close to it, I added more, and my recovery was much faster. My recovery was way faster. And unfortunately, just one shot, like I'm unable to see in the old trades on Quenta, they like wiped out all their cash or something. I can't see any of my old trades because I really wanted to show the profit and loss and exactly what I did with everybody. But this is a strategy, especially with Bitcoin and Ethereum, that I think really would be something that you could start with. But again, if you're just starting to do this for the first time, start off with 1.5x leverage or 2x leverage. I wouldn't go straight off the deep end with like 3x leverage or 2.5x leverage. That's a very dangerous game unless you know exactly what you're doing. So hopefully that that actually helped you out. Yeah, we were on San Blas. We were in San Blas. Thank you, SM. Thank you, SM. We were in San Blas. I remember it was so funny. I was literally sitting there shitting my pants and going like, oh my gosh, please don't go down. And it was a bad dip. It was a really, really bad dip. But at the end of the day, it didn't go down all the way down. And I was able to run home. It was in 2023, actually. It was in 2023. But I had those trades going on for a really, really long time and did really, really well on them. So anyways, yeah, you got it just one shot. You got it just one. Who's SM? SM was there. SM was there. That was such a fun trip. It was so cool. Like one of the cool things, for those of you who don't know, my company's name is ARK. It was so rad. In this place, we literally found this ancient relic. I'm not even kidding you. It had barnacles and it looked like it'd been buried with like the city of Atlantis. That was in A. It was in A. And we like pounced it around on this island. And like we found it, like they took us to these sandbars that were like barely exposed, right? We were on an island. We had like the best lobster you've ever had in your entire life. It was super fresh. Like they caught it right there. And then we went to these sandbars, and right off that sandbar, like somebody was like, hey, look, there's something weird there. And we like dove in, picked it up, barnacles and all. And it was so cool. But I'll never forget. Like, it was so much fun, but at the same time, like there was like this, speaking of like balancing, like open interest balancing, I was balancing between like sweating my, ass off and like enjoying the time that I had there. All right, guys, gals, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, do me a favor, subscribe now. I want to be teaching you guys more and more of these strategies that can make you lots of money in the future. Check it out. Hit that subscribe button and hit that like button for me, please. That brings more people. We have so many more subscribers than we had at the beginning of this year. We've more than doubled the subscriber amount this year, which is really, really, really cool. We're at an all-time high for our subscribers, and we keep hitting new all-time highs. So that's really fun. And it's all because of amazing subscribers like you, and we keep bringing the alpha here. So if you enjoyed this, please, again, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. All right, everybody. Cheers.